Welcome back, and welcome to the first review where I will use all four of the boards I use for reviews. Starting off with the nice one with the red tape on here for the matinee games, matinee-ish. The early games that I was thinking, well, maybe I'll have time to do the review, but nope. Nope. I wanted to review these earlier, but that was just a giant no. So 12 games on today in the NHL. Some interesting results. I will say this. They didn't affect the power rankings as much as I thought they might. So I actually felt a little bit better about that, where I was like, yeah, all right, I'm happy with that. I'll move these guys around, but I'm pretty happy about that. So first up, New Jersey and Tampa. This game, well, it doesn't have a score, so I got to fix that. There's the score. Normally I'd start over, but nope, no way. All right, so it was Blackwood versus Vasilevsky, and this was a game that looked like it was going to go one way, and then it switched. Early press for the Bolts. Tampa Bay gets a power play. There was a shorthanded chance for Hischier as the power play ended, and then Jan Rutta scores on the first shot for Tampa at 5:49. This was the first time Blackwood played against Tampa, and I thought, are they going to light him up? Blackwood got pulled in his last game. So the Bolts go back to the power play. We end up with 1 minute and 37 seconds of 4-on-4. The shots were 3-1 for Tampa at the half. So it really looked like New Jersey, who of course got beat by Florida, it looked like maybe they were headed to that same fate today. Pressed by the Bolts, Blackwood making saves there. Bogosian with a wraparound chance, that was saved. And then Sharon Govich, I believe this is his first of the year. It was 8 or 9 hours ago, so don't hold me to that. From Holtz at 13:56, and the momentum had shifted. It shifted until Tampa Bay gets a power play. And so off that pressure that draws that power play, they score. It's Maroon at 18:15 from Colton and Sergachev. It's 2-1 Tampa after one, and I thought they had outplayed New Jersey, so that made sense that they're ahead. Second period, McDonough had a net drive that fizzled. There was a press by the Bolts at 3 minutes. Stamkos had a blast that was saved. The momentum was all Bolts that first 5 minutes. And they score. At 6:17, it's Hedman from Colton and Rutta, and it was another really good cycle press by Tampa Bay. Really standard the way Tampa Bay's been playing for about a month now, right? So really, really good. Devils get a power play. That was a Perry. It was a head hit by Corey Perry. And so he gets 2 minutes. We'll see if anything comes out of that for him, right? Shorthanded 3-on-1 for the Bolts. Nobody took the shot. It was all, do you want it? Oh, the net's behind us. So, yeah, so that didn't work, but the power play was killed off. Devils go back to the power play. That one was killed off as well. Post then for McLeod on a 3-on-1. The Devils press after that. Belmar had a shot on a 2-on-1 that was saved. Last minute, there were some chances for the Devils, but we go to the third period with it 3-1 Tampa. The Bolts came into today 4-0-2, leading after 2. That number changes today. And it was Dawson Mercer. This kid, honestly, we talk about Calder this and Calder that. Mercer's been fantastic. It feels like every goal he gets is highlight reel. Sharon Govich and Siegenthaler with the assists at 112. They got the assists to be obnoxious so that it didn't fit on the board. And he went right around Vasilevsky. Vasilevsky came out and he just went, all right, well, I'll just go around and put it in there. And it was perfect. Devils press for the tie. Maroon was denied in close on a turnover. Bolts had a 2-on-0 and Killorn was robbed. And that probably the turning point, because New Jersey scores to tie it. It's VC from Subban and Siegenthaler at 5:39. And it was a fantastic stretch pass by Subban that gets VC in there on his own, and he puts it in. Bratt had a rush chance that was saved, and then Sharon Govich with his second of the game from Jesper Bratt at 9 minutes and 34 seconds. And so that makes it 4-3. And then there's that other turning point, part two. Braden Point, he's taken down on a breakaway, so you get a penalty shot. That penalty shot was saved. So really a good game for Blackwood. Bolts get a power play. That's a no. There was a goalie pull with 1:52 left. And that allows the empty net goal for New Jersey. It's Thomas Tatar scoring from Graves at 18:44. The Devils win 5-3. Shocking everybody, yours truly included. They go to 8-5-3 on the season. Tampa drops to 9-4-3. Their point streak ends. Your shots, 9-4 Tampa in the first, 15-13 New Jersey in the second. The shots were 12-8 Tampa in the third. Final shots, 34-27 for Tampa. Power plays 0-3 for New Jersey, 1-4 for the Bolts. Hits were 26-25 for Tampa. Blackwood saves 31 out of 34. Really recovered quite nicely from allowing a goal on the first shot. And Vasilevsky saves 22 out of 26 at the other end. Probably not his proudest night, but you know what? I'm not going to take anything away from the Devils. They just came off of a game against Florida. We could have understood if they looked at that 3-1 deficit after 2 and said, well, it's Tampa, what can we do? But they scored 4 goals in that period, showing exactly what they can do. All right, next up, Carolina. So I did see a reactionary post on the channel about how bad Cal Petersen was. I'm going to say this. Carolina and Edmonton are both teams that make goaltenders look bad. It's what they do. So it was Anderson versus Petersen, battle of the SENs at the end of their names. Early shots for the Kings, and Jarvis actually opens the scoring from Aho and D'Angelo at 3 minutes on the first shot. And then Lizotte would answer from Lemieux and Edler at 4:38. But 10 seconds later, Stepan on the second shot for Carolina scored from Martinook and Shea at 4:48. The announcer said, so this is the kind of game it's going to be, and I thought, the kind where Cal Petersen doesn't make a save? That's going to be a problem. Doug McLean's freaking out somewhere. So, old joke. Don't worry about it. Pressed by the Canes, Petersen holds there. Athanasiou had a rush chance that was saved. And then Kempe. How dare you, Kempe? How dare you? That should have been Edler's goal. I even was all happy and posted on Twitter. Edler got a goal. No, he didn't. Kempe tipped it. So, thanks, Kempe. You robbed Edler of goal number 100. Edler and Kopitar with the assists at 12:39. So, Edler with a couple of assists to that point in the game. Kings go to a power play. It turns into a 4-on-4. The Kings would score. The question was asked, was there goalie interference? And the answer is yes. Kings go to a power play instead. That was unsuccessful as it rolls over into the second period where the Canes finish the kill. Aho then scores from Svechnikov and Anderson at 6:16. So Freddie Anderson with an assist on that one. And that was on a turnover and a nice rush chance. So Anderson gets it, throws it to Svech. Svech throws it to Aho. Great play. Clegg then kicked one at his own net. They said it was on purpose, and I thought, Cal Petersen doesn't need that kind of help right now. So well, I understand directing it back to your goaltender, but he directed it kind of fast. So I'm thinking if that was on purpose. Anderson then with a shot, Anderson with the save. So that's Mikey Anderson making the shot, Freddie Anderson making the save. Aho with a break draws a power play. And then there's a shorthanded goal. L.A. Kempe scores at 9:33, and then the Kings kill off the rest. So you can feel like maybe the momentum's starting to shift, right? It's 3-3 at that stage. Well, Kotkaniemi scores from Stepan and Slavin at 11:20, so Kotkaniemi gets on the board. Kings get a power play. That was a no. After that was over, Kaliev was denied. Lemieux was not. Lemieux scores to go with his assist from earlier in the game. Raw with the assist at 18 minutes. So there you go. Lemieux was in some fracas today. I don't think there was an actual fight, so I don't think he got a Gordie Howe hat trick. Nachas would then score, though, just to ruin the night for LA Kings fans, from Niederreiter and Stahl at 19:26. It's 5-4 after 2, and I was thinking, it's a good thing I got these columns here because I may need them. Third period, Canes with a rush chance that fizzled. Iafallo had a chance that was defended. Arvidsson had a rush that draws a power play. That power play was unsuccessful for LA. Fast game. Not a lot of whistles. The Canes definitely guilty of hanging on a little bit at points in this. And that was the whole third period, was the Canes kind of hanging on. You don't want to play that way. Kopitar had a chance was saved. Strong game for Kaliev. With 1:14 left, the Kings call a timeout. Likely so Coach McClellan can point at the board and go, look, guys, you're getting all the shots. We need some more. Either way, they don't score. Your final score is 5-4 for Carolina. They go to 14-2 on the season. LA drops to 8-7-2. Good game for LA, though. You look at the shots. 13-7 LA in the first, 11-10 Carolina in the second, 19-2 LA in the third. Final shots 42-20 for LA. Power plays Carolina 0-2, LA 0-4. Hits 31-13 for Carolina. Anderson saves 38 out of 42. Petersen saves 15 out of 20. And there you go. We're done with board number 1. Now, board number 2 has 4 games on it. It's also got a little bit of glare. So we'll just go ahead and fix the glare part. And we'll talk about Pittsburgh and Toronto. So Pittsburgh seems to have this thing with Toronto this year, right? This is the second game. And Toronto came into this winning a bunch of games and feeling really confident. They have to come out of this game kind of shaken with the confidence. And Tristan Jarry all of a sudden looks like he's pretty good again. So there you go. It was Jarry versus Campbell. There was a pass to Heinen on a rush that was a near miss. At 5:46, Pittsburgh opens the scoring. It's Jake Gensel from Rust and Dumoulin. And it was a really nice deke by Jake Gensel. So it's 1-0. Shots were 4-1 for the Penguins at 8 minutes. And pretty early on in this, you could see the frustration from the Leafs. You could hear some frustration in the crowd as well. Ritchie was denied by Jarry and Close. Ritchie seemed to be on the first line again. So, yeah. Shots even up in the second half. Marner ends up hitting the side of the net. But before the period is out, Pittsburgh makes it 2-0. Carter scores from Zucker at 17:15. And then the Penguins have the late power play. Second period, Leafs finished off the kill. There were 3 shots for Pittsburgh during that power play. Then there was a press by the Leafs at a minute and a half. Kapanen to Bluger, that was defended. The Leafs get a power play. Marner had a shot that was saved. Nylander with a crossbar, not the last one he'd get either. That was killed off. Penguins press with 4 minutes left, but we come out of the second period with the same score that we had when we came out of the first. Third period, Ritchie had a shot that was blocked. McGinn was stopped twice. Rapid fire shots by Brock McGinn there. Tavares had a shot that was saved. Puck goes the other way. Carter had a chance that was saved as well. Crosby had a skate problem as well that almost led to some unpleasantness for Penguins fans, but he had to get a new skate. Penguins press at 6 minutes. Kapanen with a one-timer. That was denied. The nice thing, too, was there was one play here. I don't have it on the board, but there was one play where it looked like he called for the puck from Tavares. I mean, hey, you know, he played for Toronto, so he knows how to call for a puck and get Tavares to pass it to him. You can only get that once. You can only do that once. Tavares won't make the same mistake twice. Leafs end up getting a power play. It was a pretty aggressive penalty kill by the Penguins. Not a lot of respect shown to Toronto's power play. And, yeah, no shots. Simmons had a chance then that was kicked aside with 5:12 left. The Leafs get a power play, and then they had a minute and 49 of 5-on-3. And just personally, right away, I thought, this is going to go badly. 5-on-3s, prolonged 5-on-3s, we've seen with Toronto, these can go in the wrong direction. Rust had a chance 3-on-5. He did. There were five Leafs. Rust's one of the 3 Penguins, and he had a pretty good chance. And that's where the booing really starts from the crowd. There was a crossbar for Nylander, yet again, and it's killed off. They killed off the 5-on-3. The goalie gets pulled by Toronto, and I put right on the board, good luck, because it's not going in. The final score is 2-0 for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh goes to 7-6-4 with the victory. It's back-to-back shutout wins. They got the shutout over Montreal as well, of course. For Toronto, 12-6-1 is their record now. Shots 9-7 Pittsburgh in the first, 10-8 Toronto in the second. Pittsburgh 14-9 in the third. Final shots 31-26 for Pittsburgh. Power plays 0-for-1 for the Pens, 0-for-4 for Toronto. That 5-on-3 really killed it. Hits 29-26 for the Maple Leafs. Jarry saves all 26 shots for back-to-back shutouts for himself. Campbell saves 29 out of 31. There might be some overreacting to this loss in Leafland. I didn't think it was that bad, and I think that just Pittsburgh's a bad matchup for them. I think that's all it is. We will see if that's the case. Next up, Montreal and Nashville. Did somebody tell Montreal before the game there were only 2 periods in it? Because it sure felt that way. So it was Saros versus Montembeault. Montembeault was tested early. The shots were 5-0 for the Nashville Predators at 2.5 minutes. But Lehkonen scores at 2:41 from Savard and Evans, completely against the flow of the play. Things get scrappy at the Habs net at 5:35. And these teams, a lot of scrappiness tonight. I'm really kind of surprised by how much ugliness we see between teams that haven't seen each other in years. But here we are. Shots were 9-3 for the Preds at the half. But the Habs, they got their opportunities in the second half. They would press in the final minute as well. And they're up 1-0. So they're not overly concerned about the fact they got outshot. They're up 1-0. Second period, early. Dvorak scores from Anderson and Drouin at 1:06. Caulfield had a really good opportunity, and he lost an edge. He went down. It happens. Habs get a power play. They score on it. It's Gallagher from Drouin and Toffoli at 3:34. The Predators call a timeout. This is where John Hines says, that's enough. It's 3-0. Let's get this together. They didn't. Habs press. Saros making some saves, but Poehling. Remember Poehling before Caulfield had all the hype? Poehling had all the hype? Well, tonight he lives up to it. Weidman and Lehkonen with the assists at 9:31, and then he scores again about 30 seconds later at 10:08 from Toffoli and Weidman. So suddenly it's 5-0, and that's where Saros gets the hook, and David Riddick goes into the net. We get a power play for the Habs. We then got Olivier versus Anderson, and things get scrappy after that. So Olivier and Anderson have their fight, And then as they're getting ready for the face-off, they started it up again. So, yeah, that was interesting. So we go to the third period. Predators had chances right away. They end up getting a power play and they score on it at 6:36. Duchesne from Yossi and Johansson. Predators go back to the power play, and at 12:53 they score again. It's Duchesne with his second from Granlund and Tolvanen. And you could see Montreal's tightening up. You could hear the crowd getting a little bit more nervous about things. So the Predators get a power play. It was a no. Sissons then had a rush chance that was denied. And then Duchesne. He scores again from Johansson and Granlund at 16:27. That is a natural hat trick, boys and girls. That's 3 goals in a row by the same player. And all of a sudden, a 5-0 laugher became 5-3. And this is where I'm saying to the television, they knew they had to play the third, right? They weren't drinking in between the second and third period, right? So the goalie gets pulled with 2:35 left. Duchesne wanted 4. He was trying for that fourth. But the empty net goal to Foley scores from Armia at 18:30. That allays the fears of Habs fans. They win 6-3. They go to 5-13-2. So 20 games into the season, they have 5 wins. Not great. Nashville, a rough loss, 9-7-1. And so for Nashville, these are a couple of setbacks. Shots 15-9 Nashville in the first, 14-11 Montreal in the second, 9-5 Nashville in the third. Final shots 36-29 for Nashville. Power plays, Nashville went 2 for 3. Montreal went 1 for 2. The hits 37-22 for Nashville. So they outshot them and outhit them. Saros saves 14 out of 19. Riddick, to his credit, saves all 9 shots he faced in relief. Montembeault saves 32 out of 35. Played well and then made people nervous, which I think is probably about where you're going to get with Montembeault. I think that's probably the best we can hope for at this point, but they get the win. So we'll see if Montreal can get on a little bit of a run. I have said that every time they've had a win this year to this point. They haven't gone on a run. All right, next up, Calgary. So you'll notice I got 2 logos up here for Calgary because I wanted to use the horse head. I was like, well, the horse head's too small, so I'm going to use the small C as well. Because I want to use the Islanders fisherman, so I wanted to have the horse head and the fisherman on the board, because why not? It's the opening night for the Islanders in their new building, so I was like, I want to do something different with the magnets tonight, so sure. From all reports, it sounds like it was a lot of fun. On the Discord, there was somebody posting pictures from UBS Arena, and just said the store was fantastic. He didn't even check out the food, but said the store is fantastic. There's a lot of fun stuff there. So, early power play for the Islanders. That was a no. And then Richardson scores at 4:05. So, Richardson, one of my favorite players, he gets a goal. Calgary's up 1-0. They get a power play. That was a no. Pitlick had a big hit on Pajot. To JG Pajot's credit, he jumps right back up after he gets hit. The Islanders get a power play. That was a no. The Flames get a power play. We were into a parade at this point in the first period. Mangiapane scores during said parade on the power play from Hannafin and Goudreau at 13:18. Kind of quieted the building down. And again, when you're opening up a brand new building, you want to see like the crowd really enjoying it, having a lot of fun and all this. The Islanders get their third power play. That was awful. That third power play was... there's nothing else I can say about it other than it was bad. So with 28 seconds left, they get their fourth power play. This one worked. The power play goal is Nelson from Panik and Palmieri at 19:40. So the horn sounds. The puck went in and it hit the camera and came out. The funny thing is, Craig Simpson was talking about how tightly strung the nets are in the new building, and so it would be easy for a puck to go in and come out. But it hit the camera, so all I kept thinking was, and I admit, I talk to the TV when I watch games, and I was saying, so how tightly do they string the camera in a new net? Because I'd love to know. But anyways, it counts. The horn sounded to really quickly, too. Toronto let them know, like, that puck was in, because it's only 20 seconds before the end of the period. You don't want to tell them during the intermission. By the way, we got to add 20 seconds onto the next period because that was a goal. So we go to the second period with it 2-1 instead of 2-0. There's a fifth Islanders power play at 2 minutes and 11 seconds. It's unsuccessful. So Calgary gets their turn on the power play because it was the night of the power plays. Until the third where they just kind of let them play. Anyways, Mangiapane scores his second power play goal, and he's got a lot of goals on the road. He's the leader of goals on the road. Ovechkin must have heard about this too. We'll get to him. But Mangiapane at 6:43 from Hannafin and Backlund. So Hannafin with a couple of helpers in this one. Then there's a sixth Islanders power play. That was their last. But this is before the halfway mark of the game. So just let that sink in for a second. There's 6 Islanders power plays before the game's halfway over, and yet the Islanders are down 3-1. So that's how their night was going. There was a press by the Flames with 9.5 minutes left. Lindholm had a chance that wouldn't go. Fourth Flames power play. They were 2 for 3 so far. So that's in the second period as well, meaning in the third period, no penalties. And it's not that everybody was playing clean. They just stopped calling them. So at 1 minute and 49 seconds, Nelson scores. That makes it 3-2. So all of a sudden the momentum is all Islanders. Lucic had a shot that was saved. Mayfield was denied. Markstrom was very good tonight in this one. Pressed by the Flames at the half. The Flames guilty of hanging on, though, in this game. Panik misfires on a chance. Goaltender gets pulled with 2 minutes left. With 1:50 left, the Islanders call a timeout. And what ends up happening? Empty net goals. First, it's Lewis from Tanev at 18:45. And then it's Johnny Gaudreau at 19:22. Your final score is 5-2. More lopsided than what the game actually was. Calgary goes to 10-3-5. Solid road trip for them. The Islanders dropped to 5-7-2. So a loss at home hurts, and their overall record, they've got to start getting things going. And again, I understand they're without Pulock, they're without Bailey, they're without a number of guys who are either in protocol or injured right now. So this is definitely a walking wounded team. The shots, 13-9 Islanders in the first, 15-9 Calgary in the second, 14-7 Islanders in the third. Final shots, 36-31 for the Islanders. Power plays, Calgary 2 for 4, the Islanders 1 for 6. Hits 21-18 for the Islanders. Markstrom saves 34 out of 36. Varlamov saves 26 out of 29. Sorokin's the better goaltender right now. I don't know if I'm talking out of turn saying it, but it feels like he's probably the better goaltender. All right, next up, Boston. So Boston has had, a start to the season that people have been critical of, and I get it. I do, because when you just look at the wins and the losses, I get it. And I've seen a lot of comments about Ullmark's start, and I keep seeing articles and posts about what if Tuukka Rask was in net? Well, he's not. And Ullmark, I have faith he's going to get it together, and tonight might be the start of that because I watched him last year in Buffalo. He's a pretty good goaltender. So it's Ullmark versus Jones. First Bruins game since Sunday. So this is what Bruce Cassidy was complaining about. They're not playing their games at a regular... It's hard to get into a rhythm with this schedule, so hopefully it's a better schedule from here for them. The Flyers, Jones was tested early. There was a press by Philadelphia at 3.5 minutes. The Flyers get a power play. That was a no. The shots were 9-5 for Boston at the half. Bruins get a power play, and then they got a 5-on-3 for 12 seconds. All of that gets killed off. DeBrusk was denied, and Grzelcyk was denied too during that power play. And Jones played really well. But before the period's out at 18:25, Nosek, he scores from bleed and Grzelcyk. So that's a great goal. Nosek, bleed, Grzelcyk. That's hockey right there. Second period early, 30 periods. Forbort scores from Marchand and Pastrnak. And yes, I said, as I posted on Twitter, I'm using 4 boards, and Forbort is having a good... 4 boards, Forbort. Because as I always tell my wife, I'm 12, right? So, yeah, he scored. It went in off of Braun's stick. Braun's reaction showed you it went in off his stick, but it's 2-0. To Philadelphia's credit, almost said Florida, to Philadelphia's credit, they bounced back from this. Brassard scores from Atkinson and Ristolainen at 1:22, so it didn't take long. Next shift, they get it back. Flyers then get a power play. Giroux at a blast that was saved. Game's getting kind of scrappy, and of course Marchand's in the middle of it when it's getting scrappy, right? Flyers go to the power play, and they score. It's Brassard with the power play marker at 9:25 from Giroux and Provorov. Suddenly, it's a brand new game, and the Flyers start pushing for the lead. The Bruins were opportunistic tonight. Forbort, yes, his second of the game from Smith and DeBrusk at 16:27. That's Smith's first point of the season. It's been a rough start for Craig Smith. If he can get things going, if the depth guys put up some points and goals, that would help Boston tremendously. Brassard was hunting for the hat trick, and then in the last moments, the Flyers had their chances. So it's 3-2 going into the third. But Philly had to feel pretty good about it. Even though Boston's ahead, they're only ahead by 1. However, at 1:28, Smith scores from Howland and DeBrusk, and that goal, Jones wants that one back. That's one of those ones that, the goalie would like to have another shot at that one. So Smith gets his first goal of the year. Jones then covered on the next chance that Craig Smith got out there. Bruins then get a power play. It quickly turns into a 4-on-4. During the 4-on-4, Pasternak had a good chance. That was blocked out. Pressed by the Flyers at 8.5 minutes. The Bruins holding on. 8:06 left. The Flyers get a power play. It became a 4-on-4. And during this 4-on-4, Pasternak scores. He gets a goal from Zboril and Coyle at 12:47. That makes it 5-2, and that was your final. Shots 21-8 Boston in the first, 13-11 Boston in the second, 12-10 Philadelphia in the third. Final shots 44-31 for Boston. So Jones saved 20 out of 21 in that first period. He gave them every chance. Power plays 0 for 3 for Boston, 1 for 5 for Philadelphia. Hits 33-29 for Boston. Ullmark saves 29 out of 31 at one end of the ice, and Jones saves 39 out of 44. So even though he allows 5 goals, his save percentage still isn't that bad because they got 44 shots on him. So all right, board number 2 is done. Let's move on. I feel like when we reach the halfway mark, I should splice in like an interlude like they used to in old movies so people can get up and walk around for like 30 seconds. I'm not doing it, but I'm just saying, sometimes I think I should be doing that. All right, so Minnesota and Florida. Yes, this game started before the other ones. I did the boards the way I did them today because I felt like, you know what? I need to do the boards this way. I also need to fix another score. Alakazam, fixed. All right, so it's Talbot against Bobrovsky in this one. And, yeah, it was pretty good goaltending at both ends of the ice, even though there's a bunch of goals scored. So it was Duclair to Bennett. There was a near miss early. The shots were 5-1 for the Panthers 5 minutes into this. They started off very well. Vetrano with a rush chance. He fires one high. Panthers get a power play. That was a no. Strong first half for the Panthers. Reinhart tips one wide. And then late in the period, Florida. These guys get all the luck. Tip it from Ekblad and Vetrano at 17:45. There will be Florida fans that hear that and go, hey, traditionally we don't. I get it. I get it. It's just the hockey gods are making up for lost time with Florida. So Greenway and Gudas kind of unpleasant, and then we get a crowd at the horn. Just some unpleasantness because, sure, these teams haven't seen each other in about 3 years. Second period, Lomberg had a rush on the first shift. That was saved. Talbot, very busy, but very good to this point in the game. Duclair had a 2-on-1. Talbot poke-checked him very nicely. Post for Ekblad, and then Vetrano scores from Thornton and Gudas at 8:23. So, yeah, that happens. It's 2-0. Wild press, they draw a power play. They scored on it. Eriksson Ek from Zuccarello and Kaprizov at 11:46. Panthers try to answer. Hornquist fires one wide. And then it's Vetrano with his second of the game from Forsling at 14:50. Vetrano's one of those guys I've been very vocal about supporting for years. And I'm glad that he proved that my faith in him was well-founded. He's been excellent in Florida. Zuccarello then went for a response. That was denied. We go to the third period. The score is 3-1 in favor of Florida. Kaprizov scores from Gaudreau at 1:55. Great shot, great goal, and it shows do not take Minnesota lightly. Ever. Same line stayed on going for the tie. The shots were 5-1 for the Wild 4 minutes into the third. Gudas had a blast that goes wide. Panthers press. Verhaeghe would score from Weegar and Ekblad at 5:42. The Wild then get a power play. Panthers scored. Was it offside? Yep, no goal. So pretty easy to tell. Wild then get the early goalie pull going on. Lomberg with an empty net miss. The Wild score. Was it offside? Nope, it counts. Foligno from Goligoski and Rask at 19:14. That goal may have changed to Greenway. If it changed to Greenway, just go ahead, get a magic marker and just write it on your phone or on your screen. Just right here. Just write Greenway. I'll wait. No, don't do that. You'll ruin it. So yeah, empty net goal then for Bennett from Huberdeau at 19:23. But then just to keep things interesting, they pull the goalie again. Hartman scores from Eriksson Ek at 19:51. Minnesota loses 5-4. Good spirited game for Minnesota, but they come up short. They fall to 11-6. Florida goes to 13-2-3. The record's getting ridiculous again. Shots 15-5 Florida in the first, 16-12 Minnesota in the second, 17-10 Minnesota in the third. Final shots 38-37 Minnesota. Power plays 1 for 2 for the Wild, 0 for 1 for Florida. Hits 35-31 for Florida. Talbot saves 32 out of 36 at one end. Bobrovsky saves 34 out of 38 at the other. And there you go. Pretty solid game. Enjoyable too. Next up, St. Louis and Dallas. So it is power rankings night. I'm just going to tell Blues fans, heads up, they fell this week. They fell kind of hard. So it's Binnington versus Ottinger. Neon jerseys, you know what I'm going to say about Ottinger in this review, don't you? So low chance game early, which kind of works to, I think, to Dallas's advantage. There was a press by the Blues at 4 minutes. The shots were 5-2 in favor of St. Louis 7 minutes into this game. Robertson couldn't bury one. The Stars get a power play. During that, the linesman gets hit with the puck. Binnington denies Robertson. Blues get a power play. That was a no. So after the first period, it's scoreless. But Dallas definitely took control in the second half of that. Second period, Fox into Glendening. Near miss right there. Stars get a power play and score on it. It's Jamie Benn. From Suter and Gurianov at 5:16, the Stars then press for another. The Blues would get a power play. It was unsuccessful. And then they get another pretty much right after. And Hintz scores the shorthanded marker from Raffl and Lindell at 10:39. If Rope Hintz gets going, Dallas could absolutely start making noise in the West. But again, this is one game. Saad would still score on that power play from Perron and Krug at 12:19. The Stars then get a power play before the period's out. They don't score, but it's 2-1 Dallas going into the third. Early in the third, the Stars had a chance to misfire. The Blues get a power play. Glendening with a shot block that stung him. He stayed in the game, though. Solid penalty kill by the Stars. And then Ben comes out of the box, and he goes right back to the box. So it's one of those things that you see, and it's like, man, and when it happens to Jamie Benn, you realize it can happen to pretty much anybody. So during that power play, Rope Hintz does it again. Shorthanded goal, his second of the game from Raffl at 3:55. So Raffl and Hintz pretty darn good on the penalty kill. And that made it 3-1. Then there was a shorthanded chance for Glendening after that because, yeah, St. Louis was in full retreat and it was killed off. They would pull the goaltender with 3 minutes left. That allows an empty net goal, and it's Ben. So Ben and Hintz both had 2 goals tonight. Pavelski and Lindell with the assists on that at 18:31. Dallas wins this one 4-1, and honestly, even though St. Louis outshoots them badly in the third, I never really had any doubt. Dallas goes to 7-7-2. St. Louis drops to 9-6-2. That early, really fast start is kind of forgotten. Shots 13-11 Dallas in the first, 16-12 Dallas in the second, 11-3 St. Louis in the third. Final shots 34-32 for the Blues. Power plays, St. Louis goes 1 for 6. Dallas goes 1 for 4. Hits 18-11 for Dallas. Binnington 29 saves on 32 shots. Ottinger saves 33 out of 34. He was not in the 3 stars that are shown on the app. Why was Ottinger stuck in the AHL? Why did they... I love what Holtby's done. I do not understand why Ottinger has been stuck in the AHL through almost a quarter of the season. Now he's won both games that he's been in. His stats have been excellent through both games. My faith in Ottinger seems to be rewarded right now. I have a really bad feeling Holtby's going to get healthy and Ottinger's going to get sent to the AHL, and I'm going to be a broken man. I get that feeling that could end up happening. I mean, I got the Ottinger jersey because I have faith in the kid that he's going to be a goaltender for Dallas for years to come, and I think he's a good goaltender. And the first 2 games he's played, he's been pretty good. I do not understand why he's been stuck in the AHL. I don't. He played well last year too. I don't get it. I don't understand. All right, next up. This is great. So I'm wearing Arizona tonight, and I have to say, Arizona's on a 3-game point streak. They're 2-0-1 in their last 3, and this is great. Now, while it was an interesting storyline, the idea of, well, what if they can't win 8 games and they end up with the worst season ever? It's hard to watch hockey like that, though. Like, for me, I'm watching every team. It is hard to watch a team that can't win a game, period. So it's Nedeljkovic versus Wedgwood. Scott Wedgwood still wearing the Devil's helmet. Keep it. Coyotes get a power play. That ends up with 1 shot. The shots were 3-0 in their favor at 8 minutes, but at 8:41, on the first shot of the game for Detroit, it goes in. It's Larkin from Raymond. So the shots even up in the second half of that period. Keep in mind there's a lot of games on at this point, so this was the one I was paying the least amount of attention to through that first period. But the shots even up. Detroit's up 1-0, and in the back of my mind I'm thinking, well, that's probably fair. You know, Detroit needs the win, right? So second period, early press by the Coyotes. Lyubushkin's shot was blocked. Rasmussen fires one wide. Easy for me to say. Galchenyuk then fans on one. The Wings get a power play. That was a no. Wings go right back to the power play. Again, it failed. Dzingel couldn't bury one late. He'd remember that. So we go to the third period with it still 1-0 for Detroit. And again, I'm still figuring, well, Detroit's going to hold on. Another game where the Coyotes get shut out. Shots are 2-2, 5 minutes in. Bertuzzi was blocked by a double pad stack from Wedgwood, so it's always nice when they do the double pad stack. Hayden fires one high. No prolonged pressure for either team early, though. There was a lot of one and done the first 5-6 minutes of this period. The Wings were playing a solid road game to that stage, too. But there's a press by the Coyotes with 8.5 minutes left. They started playing with some more urgency in their game. Nedeljkovic denies Galchenyuk, but bar down, it's Dzingel. So off the crossbar and down. Dineen with his first NHL point with the assist on this one, and Lawson Krause continues his hot play as well. And at 13:31, this game is tied. The crowd's into it. I got to be honest, I was like, you know what? I hope they win. I want to see Arizona go on a little bit of a run because I think that'd be fun to watch. Larkin tries to answer. Hayden and Hronek were unfriendly. And it felt like OT already with 5 minutes left. Dzingel nearly gets another. Suter was denied in the closing seconds. And the Coyotes call a timeout with 7.7 seconds left. You know what? Torini executes these timeouts at the right time. To call the guys over and go, look, don't blow it. Okay? Everybody, look at me. We're not going to blow this, right? Right? We're not actually trying to lose every game, right? And sorry, coach. Yeah, we'll try not to lose this game, coach. And yeah, so they get to overtime. 22 seconds. I didn't have time to write anything because the first play ends up in the back of the net. It was Keller from Chychrun and Kessel. It was a great rush on a game-winning goal. It was reviewed just in case Kessel was guilty of goalie interference. I'm going to say this. The reason it's good for me, personally, is that while you might be able to argue incidental contact by Kessel, there's no way Nedeljkovic makes that save. That's supposed to be part of what you decide when you're watching that play. Nedeljkovic was out of position. He didn't have a chance on that Keller shot. Kessel had stayed out of his way. He still doesn't save that. And that's something you have to decide as a referee when you're watching the replay. Is that puck catchable? Would there be a chance for the goaltender if there wasn't that impediment of Kessel being there? And in that case, no. I knew right away. I said, no, that should be a good goal. So Arizona wins 2-1 in overtime. The Red Wings drop to 8-9-3 with the overtime loss. Arizona goes to 3-13-2. That's right, 3 big shiny wins for Arizona. And now they're no longer on pace for the worst season in the history of the NHL. That's kind of something to celebrate, isn't it? I'm wearing the jersey, right? This is my Cliff Ronning jersey, one of my 3 Cliff Ronning jerseys. He played for Arizona. They gave him a chance when Vancouver said forget it. Shots 8 apiece in the first period, 16-6 Detroit in the second. So I had good reason to look at it and go, yeah, Detroit's going to win this. In the third, Arizona does outshoot them 13-10. And they had the 2 shots in the overtime, including the Keller one that goes in. And, yeah, no chance on that one for Nedeljkovic. Power plays, Detroit 0 for 2, Arizona 0 for 1. The hits were 21-11 for Arizona. Nedeljkovic saves 26 out of 28. He played well. Wedgwood just played better. 33 saves on 34 shots. Wedgwood continues to be this pretty amazing story for an Arizona team that desperately needed one. And they got him on waivers. He's their starter. So that's how things are going in Arizona. Now let's move on to the later games. The Oilers. The Oilers are pretty good. Yeah, I know that's a hot take, isn't it? The Oilers are pretty good. Lankinen versus Skinner. Skinner's pretty good. As the games go along, you can see him building his confidence. And again, now there's no rush for Mike Smith to come back. Jones had a point shot. Skinner saves there. Kane had a prime opportunity that was kicked out. McDavid had an almost goal at the halfway mark. That first half, Edmonton had more shots, but I thought Chicago had the better opportunities. Lankinen then loses a blade. That leads to a whistle. But then at 10-16, so not long after McDavid has his chance, doesn't go in, he gets one that does. Hyman and Bouchard with the assists at 10-16. The Oilers then get a power play, and then it became 1 minute and 48 seconds of 5-on-3. So all I wrote up there was, oh boy, because I know what's coming. And during the 5-on-3, Barry from Draisaitl and McDavid at 11-19 makes it 2-0. So the Hawks get a power play. This is a chance for them to answer. Nope. Yamamoto scores shorthanded at 15-16, and he one-timed it. He didn't think about it. He just one-timed it to the back of the net. When Kyler Yamamoto is struggling to get goals, usually it's that overthinking, the second-guessing, the looking for the pass rather than the shot. He's got a really good shot. He took it there, and it's 3-0. The Oilers killed off the rest. And then McLeod scores from Broberg and Fogle at 18:32. So Philip Broberg gets his first NHL point. 4-0 for Edmonton. Doc would answer from DeBrincat and Jones at 1940. The last time I checked, it still said DeBrincat, but it's Doc's goal. I was watching it. Doc tipped it. So that makes it 4-1. This will be awkward if they haven't changed it, but I don't really care. Second period, I don't. People always in the comments under these videos are like, actually, this assist ended up being changed to that guy. It's not important. After, again, not official scoring. So second period, the Oilers pressed at 3 minutes. Jones and Murphy ended up on the ice for 4 minutes and 55 seconds. So pretty darn near 5 minutes. Chicago doesn't concede a goal, and they don't take a penalty. Either of them. So while Jones has problems defensively, we know this, that was a pretty solid 5-minute shift for him. The Hawks cleared it out, no damage done on that. Draisaitl with a rush, he shoots wide, he'd remember. Skinner saves a Strome chance. The Hawks then get a power play. There was a shorthanded 2-on-1 that was defended by Doc, but it's killed off. Fogle was denied. There was a 3-on-1. Lankin and robs Puljujarvi. And then we go to the third period. The Oilers giving the Hawks very little early on. This was a good shutdown period by Edmonton. However, Kurashev comes out of the box, and you've always got to watch that player coming out of the box. DeBrincat finds him, and then he finds DeBrincat. DeBrincat gets the goal at 9 minutes. It was a really nice play by Kurashev out of the box, and DeBrincat realizing the player's coming out. Draisaitl to Yamamoto was then defended, as it felt like maybe this game could be turning a little bit. The Oilers would get a power play. We end up with 4-on-4 for 43 seconds, and then it's the Chicago's Blackhawks' turn on the power play, which leads to a shorthanded goal. It's Draisaitl from Bouchard at 16:28. That makes it 5-2. Takes a little bit of tension out of the building. Cassian was robbed after, but your final score is 5-2 for the Oilers. The Oilers go to 13-4 on the season. Chicago drops to 5-10-2. But again, they're not going to win all of them. So if they're going to get back into the hunt, they're just going to have to look at this one and go, well, that's fine. And then they come into Vancouver tomorrow. They're going to have to win that game. Shots, 17-14 Chicago in the first, 10-6 Edmonton in the second, 9-7 Edmonton in the third. Final shots, 33-30 for Edmonton. Power plays 0 for 3 for Chicago, 1 for 4 for Edmonton. Hits, 30-16 for Chicago. Lankinen saves 28 out of 33. Skinner saves 28 out of 30. Lankinen's numbers, honestly, the Oilers make every goaltender look bad. It's what they do. So when the Oilers, much like the Hurricanes, Florida, when they put up a 5 or a 6 spot on a goaltender, it's usually more of a measure of just how good they are than how bad the goaltender is at the other end. All right, next up, moving on to Columbus. Columbus Blue Jackets in against the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas is starting to become Vegas again. What I mean by that is they'll have their setbacks. They don't necessarily look great, and then they win. It's reminding me of year one right now. So it was Merzlikins versus Brisebois, and it's the gold helmets. I'm not going to say much. And honestly, compared to that New Jersey Devils jersey that leaked, the ugliest, most boringest thing, I don't even know how you have both in the same. It's like the World Winter Classic for the Blackhawks, the black one with all the stripes, but it just says Jersey on the front. It doesn't even say new, it just says Jersey. So they're all jerseys. Somebody already photoshopped up like helmets for it that say helmet, and then you can have the word skate on the skates. It's awesome. But yeah, so if you haven't seen the leak of the New Jersey Devils one, then look it up, because it's an ugly alt. I part of me's hoping it's not the real deal, but probably is. All right, and that all gets inspired by looking at those gold helmets. Early Columbus press, and they score. 45 seconds in, it's Nyquist blasts it from Bean and Werenski. It was checked for a high stick, and it counts. So Brisebois immediately, made the motion that he thought it was a high stick, but it counts. Domi then had a chance, was blocked. The shots were 5-1 Columbus at 5 minutes. They came out ready to play. Power play for Vegas, and a shorthanded goal is scored by Columbus. Texier from Bean and Werenski at 8:42. So Bean and Werenski were busy. Columbus kills off the rest. There were 3 shots. So we come out of the first period. It's 2-0 Columbus. The crowd is quiet. You've taken the crowd out of it, which is a big part of the whole Vegas experience. And so it looks like, hey, maybe Columbus is ready to get a road win. Columbus gets an early power play. Strong penalty kill, though, and it gets chances for Vegas. Back and forth action at 5 minutes. And then Colasar. He scores from Lecision at 7:07. And Vegas records 6 straight shots during that period as well. So they're getting a lot of opportunities. And Columbus starting to have problems. Peak defends a rush from Cotter. Good chance for him. Vegas went 5+ minutes without a shot after that goal. So they get all those straight shots, and then they're not getting shots. Weird. Columbus gets a power play. Sillinger's chance was saved. And then there was a shorthanded 3-on-1 that misfired. I don't know what it is with shorthanded 3-on-1s that misfired today, but there were a couple of them. But that's killed off. Closing seconds. There's a Vegas power play, and Pietrangelo hits the post. Looks skyward after that. He's pretty sure that should have gone in. And it should have. We go to the third period. Columbus finishes off the kill. Still up 2-1. At 4 minutes and 20 seconds, Columbus gets a power play. And at 4:45, it's a shorthanded goal for Riley Smith. And it was a beauty. That was a fantastic breakaway goal by Riley Smith, unassisted, so he did it all by himself. It's a Riley Smith special. Now, Columbus gets another power play, but we end up with a 4-on-4 for 54 seconds, so a Vegas power play. It's all killed off. Janmark, however, would add one from Haig and Colasar at 13:53. It was reviewed for offside. It's not offside. Vegas goes to the power play. Bean denies Janmark a goal. There's a goalie pull, and Columbus couldn't set up. It took a while for Columbus to get anything set up. With 1:16 left, they call a timeout. Whatever they planned in that timeout didn't work for them. Vegas wins this one 3-2. They go to 11-7. They win 5 out of 6 on the homestand. Columbus drops to 9-6. Your shots are 13-7 Columbus in the first, 14-8 Vegas in the second, 14-8 Vegas in the third as well. Final shots 35-29 Vegas. Both teams go 0 for 4 on the power play. The hits 22-16 for Vegas. Merzlikin saves 32 out of 35. Brossoit saves 27 out of 29. Brossoit bounced back nicely from what was kind of a rough-looking start for him. Brossoit's done well in Vegas. And, yeah, I'm impressed with how well he's done for them as a backup. And that's a huge bonus, is having 2 goaltenders that you can rely on in games like this. All right, next up, last up. Yes, finally the end. You can all dance and stretch and whatever you do when my videos end. I know people celebrate when it's finally over. Samsonov versus Hill. My wife at our wedding. Is it over yet? So, yeah, Samsonov versus Hill. Sherry scores early. It's Sprong and Protas with the assists at 2:17. I believe that's Protas' first point. Protas would almost get a first tonight, too, of another variety, but I think that's his first point. So that's the 12th game, too, for Washington scoring first. The only team that scored first more often is Calgary. Gregor nearly answers. Samsonov then denied Gregor when he got his next opportunity around the halfway mark. Hill stops a rush chance for Connor Sherry. Dahlin's shoulder looked like it popped out. So Dahlin, it was, and again, it's always an innocuous play where you're like, what happened there? And it looked like his shoulder was out. So I guess they popped it back in. And that's the thing. You can pop a guy's shoulder back in and he might be okay. But it looked like it was out. So yeah, that's painful. Caps end up getting a power play later on, and Ovechkin scores from Carlson and O'Shea at 13:58. He's been reading your comments about how he's going to slow down, and tonight he took that personally and he took it out on the goaltenders. So it's 2-0 for the Caps. The Caps press with 4 minutes left. They get a late power play. That becomes a 4-on-4. Schultz then bowled over Aiden Hill. That's a penalty. It was a clear penalty. Aiden Hill was okay. We go to the second period. Dahlin would return at the start of that. Carlson had a shot that deflects wide, and that was right around the end of that power play for Schultz bowling over the goaltender. Samsonov then makes saves on a deflection. Hagelin had a chance on a turnover that was saved. The Caps press at 6 minutes into that period. Hurdle with a break. He dekes and hits the crossbar, so Hurdle that close to getting one. Shimmick then had a chance that just missed wide. Things get scrummy after a Samsonov save right at the Washington Capitals net. Bonino, snake bit. I don't know what to say about Bonino, but just that empty net and just open net, and he can't hit it. And Bonino still has no points on the season. We're 17 games into his season. He doesn't have a point. So for Bonino, it is getting frustrating. I've seen articles on it. He is getting frustrated with not getting goals. And I feel bad for the guy. I really do. Protas then scored, but it's ruled as no goal right away. It's goalie interference. So if you want Protas' first NHL goal, you're going to have to wait till another night. 5:11 left. We get a 4-minute power play for the Sharks. However, Gregor was denied, and the Caps would end up killing it off. No harm, no foul. Late Caps power play, but that doesn't work either, is to start the third period, the Sharks would finish the kill. Actually, say no harm, no foul wasn't fair to the teeth of, I think it was Gadjevich. Looked like he knocked off one. So it's not fair to say there was no harm, no foul. The foul was there, and so was the harm. Gadjevich's teeth. Caps press after the power play. Favari had a chance that was saved. The shots are 4-2 for the Sharks at the half. They did have opportunities. Post for Kuznetsov, and then Sherry scores at 15-10 from Carlson and Ovechkin. They would pull the goaltender with 2 minutes and 20 seconds left because you got to try to do something. You're down by 3, and Ovechkin hits the empty net from Dowd at 18:56. Made a difference having Dowd back in the lineup. They kept talking about how Washington's not playing exciting hockey. Here's how I see it. They're now 11-2-5. San Jose's 8-8-1 with the 4-0 loss. Washington lost in the playoffs last year in the first round. They have changed their style of play, I think, to one that will win in the playoffs. I think they've looked at what the Islanders have done the last couple of years and they've said, you know what? We need to play a similar style if we're going to have success in the playoffs. So we'll see if that's the case. Shots were 6 apiece in the first, 10-7 San Jose in the second, 8-6 Washington in the third. Final shots were 22-21 for San Jose. Not a game of a lot of opportunities, but Washington made them count. Power plays, Washington 1 for 3, San Jose 0 for 4. Hits were 39 apiece. Samsonov, 22 saves, 22 shots, and back-to-back shutouts. So Washington and Pittsburgh, back-to-back shutouts for both teams. And Aiden Hill, 17 saves on 20 shots. You can't blame the goaltender when you get shut out. People still try. All right, there you go. Let me know your thoughts regarding these games in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.